3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is April the 26th, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Good evening, Carl. Did you watch the Oscars last night?
No, I didn't watch. Look, I don't watch the Oscars in a year where people make and release movies. I'm for sure not watching it when no one's done anything.
I didn't even know they were on. Can you name like one movie that was nominated for Best Picture?
Best Picture? The only nominated movie that I can think of was, and I don't know if it was for Best Picture, but I know Soul was nominated. I know it won
And it won?
It won Best Animated, but I don't think it was nominated for Best Picture.
All these movies that won, haven't heard of any of them.
No.
None of them.
Because I know Chadwick Boseman was nominated for something. Was a movie he was in nominated?
I don't know what he was nominated for, but apparently they moved around when they presented certain things because they were going to end on Best Actor because they thought he was going to win, and then he didn't win.
Wow. Could you imagine if that's what they did?
And instead Anthony Hopkins won, and he wasn't even there. He's like in England, so he was sleeping. So
he wasn't even watching.
They just had to like accept the award on his behalf, and that's how they ended the show.
That's why I don't watch the Oscars. I will watch the Grammys only to see the performances. I got like a good concert, so if it's good, then I'll watch it. But what the Oscars is just a bunch of.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's weird. Anyways. Just curious what your thoughts were, because I woke up this morning. I was like, had no idea they were on. And it led me to think, who in the NHL would win the Best Acting award?
Ooh, Best Acting. I mean, are we talking like dives? Because that seems pretty good. If we're talking about cameos, I mean, Joe Thornton's made some pretty good cameos in his day.
I think he'd be more of a Best Supporting Actor kind of winner.
I don't know.
You know who I think would win? He fits all of these categories. PK Subban.
That name came in to cross my mind as well. Yeah, that seems legit. I would go him.
But Joe Thornton, definitely Best Supporting Actor. We saw him this week.
A Joe Thornton, PK Subban buddy cop movie.
I'd watch that.
I'd absolutely watch that.
NHL, get on. Here we are recommending more great content for them.
Look, when the Leafs and Devils are both not in the second round of the playoffs, but Joe Thornton and PK Subban can go and make that happen.
They'll have all this time on their hands and basically unlimited budget. Just go make the movie. Yeah.
I know that we tried. There was that fleeting moment to take the pilot episode of your sitcom.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So we've shown that we can make script writing happen. And by we, I mostly mean you. Like,
if all they need is a script, I'm there.
Yeah,
I will write that for them.
And I'll do hair and makeup.
You know what, Carl? I'm pretty confident you could win an Oscar for that.
Best wardrobe? Is that the award?
There's wardrobe. I think makeup is its own category.
Oh, well then we're set.
Right?
Yeah. We're gonna nail it. All right. We're gonna talk through the week that was in the NHL. Got an interesting topic that I wanted to start with, though, that's kind of been on my mind this week. And that is because of, do you follow soccer or like?
I don't. No.
Or football, as some like to call it, but we call it soccer here. So we're going to stick with soccer. I also like soccer was the thing, especially at like the beginning of COVID when soccer was coming back and nothing else was. I was like, this is my chance to finally get into it. And I didn't, because there's this like, I feel like the amount of information is so overwhelming.
It's a lot.
Is all the teams, all the leagues, what is happening with like between one league and another. And I I don't know, right? And so I just kept playing video games instead of learning soccer.
I mean, like, I know some of the bigger teams. Like, I know that Manchester United is a pretty big team, and Chelsea FC. I don't know if they're good teams. I just know that they're massive and they have crazy fan bases.
Right. I know, like, Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Bayern. Right. I know teams. I could probably name like a dozen players in the leagues, I guess.
Yeah.
But in the end, not a ton. But did you see the big news that came in the world of soccer this week? Because it kind of blew up.
I did. It's pretty interesting, I think, for, I don't know, fans of all sports. It's just an interesting sports conversation.
Right. So what happened there, for those that did not see, was a number of leagues or number of teams across Europe decided to start their own league. And in this league, it would be essentially the highest, those teams that you mentioned, right? And I'm not sure if I assume Chelsea was one of them, but those big market teams were going to form their own league and be able to play just themselves, allowing them to get all the money for themselves, not have to share it with the lesser teams. And what part of this became is the fact of, I mean, essentially they're locked into this, because one thing that it makes the European model interesting is the relegation and promotion of teams, right? We see that in soccer, but we also see that in European hockey, right? The SHL in Sweden, they have promotions and demotions all the time. So that's something that these teams would kind of avoid. They'd have their own championship. They'd hand out their own trophy. Turns out everyone hated the idea. And so in what amounted to approximately 24 hours later after the announcement, they canceled it. But if you were to, so a lot of that model happens in European sports, European hockey as well. Would you be okay if we had that kind of a model brought into hockey, where there was a tournament, and let's say, like, I mean, we could easily start with just the original six would be like the default that people would stick with, but start looking at those top ranked teams, those highest grossing teams, the highest value teams, and they had a 6-team, 7-team, 8-team off-season tournament, just them, no one else is invited. Would that be something you'd be okay with?
In addition to the regular season and playoffs as we know it?
Yeah.
Sure. That's just more hockey throughout the year. Not only more hockey, but the best teams playing.
Now, what if it's, I mean, so let's say we went original six, right? We had Rangers, Habs, Leafs, Boston, Detroit.
Yeah.
Did I say all six?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Phew.
You were missing one, but you got there.
I was forgetting one. But let's say, so like last year, if it had been a normal season, 3 of those teams, and arguably even 4 of them, would not have been playoff teams. So we wouldn't be getting good hockey. We'd have Boston and who's the other? Would there even be? Would there? All 5 of them might be. It might just be Boston beating up on 5 out of playoff original 6 teams.
Pretty much, and Toronto.
But Toronto was on the edge last year, right? If we didn't have a play-in tournament, they might not have made it.
Yeah, which let's not get into the play-in thing anymore. But it's more hockey to go around. I think from a fan's perspective, the way you're describing it sounds like a good thing or a fun thing.
Okay.
Where I would start to get iffy is like if they're like, no, we're going to do our own playoffs for our own. Well, I guess that is what you're describing. Now I don't know, Carl. Now you've got me all confused.
So right. So they have their own, maybe they're like, look, we are the original 6. We're going to take our Stanley Cup trophy back with us. You go get your own, or even make their own.
Yeah, no.
Like world champion style.
No.
You're
no
not
trophies, no trophies, none of this stuff. No. No.
You don't want to go watch a Leafs game and see a different banner hanging?
No. But this is just me though. I have these 2 voices in my head all the time. And the leading one is always crotchety old man voice. Okay. And crotchety old man voice, let's call him Don.
Okay.
He's always in my head going, no, why are you messing with what we've always had? It's good the way it is.
We do intro you every week as Stevie and Nick. Can those now be your alter egos? I know you wanted Don. Which one's the grumpy old man, Stevie or Nick?
Nick. Stevie's the good one.
Okay, so Nick, Mr. Lidstrom's offended right now, but we'll save that for now.
Oh man, I just realized that Yzerman and Lidstrom are my podcast name.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't do that. Don is going to be the bad guy in my head.
Okay, but we both know it's Nick.
I don't want change. I like things the way they are. Don't mess with my game. And then, there's the young, innovative voice in my head. Let's call him Stevie, saying, no, Mr. Don, you should have some fun. And those are the voices that are always competing in my head. And that's kind of what I'm feeling about something like this. Like, no, let's not mess with tradition and what we have. But also, you're telling me that I can have more hockey throughout the year? I'll take that.
Okay, what if and I know Don's going to hate this idea. What if we blow up the entire way that we organize things and do some sort of an adjustment, a tweak to the model to make the AHL not a farm system in the truest sense, but a second tier league that then can lead to promotion and demotion back and forth between, the worst NHL teams getting bumped down and these teams moving up. What do you think about that?
Don hates it. Don, no. Why are you messing with it? There's a bunch of good old Canadian boys playing. Let's not mess with their lives. But Stevie's got this feeling in the pit of his stomach, this feeling of fear. Like, man, what if my team's the one that gets demoted? I don't want that. But that's also what makes it fun. That's what makes sports fun.
It's the risk, right?
Yeah. The unknown.
And that's what I love about, weird sports is always my favorite type of sport. And I feel like that can lead to situations like this. And having something where it continually pushes teams to innovate and get better and to not just sit back and rake in the money rebuilding for a few years. You have to constantly be working and developing or else you're gone.
But I was thinking about this whole promotion, demotion thing this week with the NHL. I feel like it's going to get there at some point because they're adding Seattle this year. That's 32 teams. That's getting to be pretty big. That's a pretty big league for everyone to compete for.
I don't think it can get bigger than that.
But Carl, they've talked about adding another team in the Toronto area. They've talked about adding another team in Texas. They talk about Kansas City. There's all these major hubs in the US that don't have hockey teams. If you can keep growing the sport, you can't have 40 teams in the National Hockey League. But maybe if you're introducing all these professional teams, now you have this promotion demotion model with 40 teams, with 38 teams, with 42 teams.
But if you're creating, so there's a few things then that would have to change in that model though, right? Because if you're introducing this, and this might be the ultimate reason, as we talk about this might be the ultimate reason why I think it wouldn't fly for the NHL, is that if you introduce that model and you want to have a new team show up, where's that new team going to go? Are they going to go in the top tier or the bottom tier?
They got to start in the bottom tier and work their way up, don't they?
I would think so. But are franchise fees for that new team going to be the same as what you just got for Seattle?
No, they'd have to be much less.
And that's where this falls apart for the NHL. If that's the way that we're introducing teams, if the NHL, and they're not going to say no to franchise fees, they're not going to take that away. So that's one thing that I could see stand in the way of this happening.
So you think the only way that this promotion demotion model happens is if it's basically the AHL?
I think we already have a pro hockey league affiliated in a way with the NHL, right? Relationships and things there. I think you take that and you start, right? Those AHL teams build, get better. And we'd have to tweak, instead of just having those teams being farm teams where you can call people up freely.
That's my question. Like, how does that work?
I think you could just have a loan agreement with that team. So you loan them players, then you get them back and they can still develop down there, but you don't have as much say and as much input unless you own both, which leads to a whole another set of situations,
which a lot of teams do.
Absolutely. Right. And I'm not sure how many ownership groups in Europe, in Sweden and places like that, how many of them would own multiple teams within the tiers, but seems probable. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I just think the whole, they have a strong farm system in place right now that adding the AHL into this promotion demotion model kind of would mess with a little bit. Although it would be fun seeing which NHL teams some of these AHL teams can beat.
Well, that becomes the thing, right? Like if you are the Grand Rapids Griffins.
I'm impressed that you knew that.
I used to live on the East Coast and that's all we had was AHL hockey. So me and the St. John's Maple Leafs became very well acquainted.
Nice.
Yeah. But with that being if they're able to beat the Sabres or the Devils or whomever, they should get to move up.
They could probably beat the Red Wings at this point.
That would be, I know that's like a preseason game, but we should do that. That's the first step. If you can beat your NHL club, you're up.
Imagine losing to your farm team. Oh man, that would be awful.
I'm fairly certain that gets your coaching staff fired. I think it's a loser leaves town match. I think that's what happens there.
It absolutely should.
Yeah, you got the way better talent. Good on you. So if you think that this is the way the NHL's moving, what do you think it looks like then? You think it looks like we expand and split this league up into two groups? Is that what you're thinking?
I think it's going to, I don't know. I don't think they're going to say no to more teams. I think they want to keep growing the league. I think you add another two teams. Now you're going to split the league into two. More so the way the MLB is, right? Like the MLB has two pretty distinct separate leagues that only meet in the championship series.
They play regular season games against each other.
Yeah, but not frequently though. Not the way they play within their own leagues.
No, it's rare for sure.
How many teams are there in the MLB? 30?
30. Football has 32. Basketball has 30.
So the NHL is getting up there.
So the NHL will be tied with NBA for the largest pro league of the big four in North America.
It's just it's getting to be a lot of teams. They're going to have to start breaking it up somehow if they're going to keep adding. Maybe they won't. Maybe they're saying 32 is our cap. Any new teams introduced have to be relocated. I don't know.
But again, will the league say no to more franchise fees? They love that.
But how do you have a 30? Maybe you add another two, you're at 34, you expand the playoffs. Maybe that's step one.
Oh. To what? Now, but then we have to have a play-in.
Yeah. But there's so many teams. How do you balance that? It starts becoming I don't know. Not
half the league does not. The NHL is going to learn. Half the league doesn't have to make the playoffs. That's fine. You don't have, just because 16 teams are making it, that's good. If you're not in the top 16 teams after 82 regular season games, you're not championship caliber. So it doesn't matter.
I know, but you talk about not wanting to walk away from franchise fees. They don't want to walk away from playoff profits either.
The NHL and their love of money. I mean, I guess sports leagues and their love of money. Let's not act like the NHL is alone in this, but.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, though. I would love some sort of relegation aspect to the NHL. I think that would make things, the stakes would be much higher for some of these teams at the bottom of the league. And like you talk about tanking and how to make teams avoid tanking, there's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's true. There are also so many things that would have to get sorted out. Like even just sitting here, I think like, well, how would you do the draft? When you have 40 teams split up into 2, who gets first overall pick? Do you still have a draft? Like, what about like free agency? I assume free agency you can sign players across both leagues. Is the salary cap equal across both leagues? Like, so many things.
It's a much bigger operation.
Trades between it is for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the idea, and I also hope and think that someday we could get there, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
No, it's going to take some time. I mean, right now they added Vegas, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And now Seattle's coming in this year. So if you're adding in a team every 4 years, it's going to take a long time to get to 40.
I was going to say, another 32 years?
Yeah.
We'll be retired podcasters by then, Nick.
Yeah, and Jamie Benn still will not have caught us in goals.
He's gonna rival Patrick Marleau's games played streak just so that he can try to beat us.
I'm really mad at Jamie Benn right now.
Tell me.
Because so it was announced this week that Dylan Larkin is done for the season. Okay. There's 9 games left. Fine. Whatever. And this actually might lead nicely into our next conversation piece here. But someone on Twitter went and dug up the play of Larkin's injury. And it was after a face-off, Jamie Benn like cross-checked him. Larkin was bent over and Jamie Benn came down over top of him and cross-checked him to the back of the neck and walked away.
No penalty. No
penalty. No nothing. Some dude went and or girl, I don't know. Somebody went and dug it up on Twitter and posted it. Is a dirty play.
Yeah. Well, good news then for you. Jamie Benn is currently sitting at a mere 310 goals, which puts him 17 behind us.
Yeah. Not even close.
So
just wait for the off season. That's where we shine.
We're going to be doing 2 weeks in the off season just to put some distance between us.
No, we're not.
We are, but instead of that like mid-episode break where we, talk to our sponsors and pay the bills, we're just going to stop the show there and put it out a second episode later that week.
Just cut the show in half. That's an easy way of doing it.
Exactly. Just like he tried to do with Dylan Larkin. It's only fair.
That's right.
Fair. Well, so let's take a look then. You're talking about your Red Wings. They had a very important series this week against Dallas. We talked about that last week, right? Dallas looking to get back against the Red Wings, 4 games against them. How did your Red Wings fare against Dallas?
Dallas got 6 points out of them.
Which is what I believe is what you predicted they would.
They went 3-1. No, I said they'd get at least 4. But they went 3-1. One of those games went to overtime. The game they lost was really bad. They lost like 7-3 to the Red Wings.
And the game that went to overtime was the weirdest of them all. Oh,
yeah. That game, I don't even know why I turned it on, but I turned it on in like the second period. Detroit was being outshot 36-4 in the second period.
That's not the most surprising part, though.
They were winning 1-0. The Red Wings were winning.
Unreal. But they did lose it. And they got a point out of it. So Detroit collected 3 points out of those 4 games. And that's about as much as you could hope for these days.
Dallas collected 6. More on that later. But these Red Wings right now, they're currently, at time of this recording, it's 8:11 p.m. on April 26th. They're 23rd in the league in the standings.
What's going on? Are they turning it around, or are there just some like really bad teams out there?
So there's a few weird ones. Like Vancouver's has played 9 less games than them. Okay, so we can safely assume Vancouver's going to finish ahead of them.
Correct.
Because they're only 1 point back. San Jose is 1 point back. They have 3 games in hand. Probably going to finish ahead of Detroit.
Yeah.
LA is 2 points back. They have 5 games in hand. Probably going to finish ahead of Detroit.
Sounds good.
Okay, so that puts Detroit at 26th. This is where it gets kind of dicey because none of these teams really have a significant amount of games in hand, and they're all 5 points behind them. So, like, the teams behind them are Buffalo, which we all know how Buffalo's season's gone. It's not been great.
I don't think Buffalo's catching Detroit.
I don't really think so either.
You heard it here first, folks.
They're 9 points back.
9 points. 9 points in 9 games is not going to be got.
Yeah. And then there's Anaheim, who are 7 points back. We kind of expected Anaheim to be around here in the standings.
Absolutely.
And then there's New Jersey, who is also 9 points back. I think we kind of expected New Jersey, maybe not this far down, but definitely out of the playoffs, right?
And just Anaheim and New Jersey are 7 back. But still, yes, we expected them to be
7 back.
New Jersey, I did think would be a little better this year. Kind of expected a little more, but not surprised they're not in the playoffs.
And then there's Ottawa, who are 4 points back. Again, we expected Ottawa to be in the basement.
Yeah, they are who we thought they were.
Actually, didn't expect Ottawa to be better than those other 3 teams, but that's who we thought they were. And to me, this is the biggest surprise is Columbus.
They've very much fallen off a cliff this last little bit.
Yeah. They pretty much did what everyone said they would do when they lost Panarin and Bobrovsky.
It just took them an extra year.
They had one good year where they all kind of banded together, played the way they had to play, and then it fell apart from there. I mean, losing Dubois didn't help.
No. But okay, so they play the Red Wings tomorrow. And that's their last game in the month of April. How many wins do you think a team should have in a month of hockey?
In a month, they play 6 or 7 games?
They've played, quick math, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games this month.
Columbus has played 14 games this month. I don't know. Knowing the Blue Jackets, they should be at 7 or 8 wins.
If they beat the Red Wings tomorrow, they will have won 2 games in April.
That's not good. You can't do that.
That's terrible. That is a team. 2 things. One, that's the team that's trying to get Torts fired at this point.
Yeah. He's not coming back. You can't bring him back after this.
No. So there's that, right? But also that, like you said, that's a team that's also trying to finish this Bobrovsky, Panarin. Is it Panarin or Panarin?
I think it's Panarin. What did I say?
Panarin.
Don't listen to me.
Okay. It just feels like that is the year after, right? Last year was the no one believes in us.
Right? Yeah. They had something to prove.
This year it's snap back to reality. You have some injuries, right? Werenski out for some time. Seth Jones missed some games. You lose Dubois, you replace him with Laine, just that resettling of things.
But correct me if I'm wrong, this team didn't change much from last year to this year.
No, it didn't. Biggest difference is the fact that they're not getting otherworldly goaltending from Elvis Merzlikins. That's a big difference.
That's a huge difference for sure. Because this team it's not like they tried to outscore their opponents every game.
No, they don't have, right? Literally they have one player and it's the Dubois Laine slot. The rest of it is a bunch of guys that are they'll get some, but it's not going to be pretty.
This is the team that knocked the Maple Leafs out of the playoffs last year.
This is the team that's the reason that they traded for Nick Foligno.
Yeah. Who got an assist in his first game with the Leafs, by the way.
Ooh, look at that. Did you go buy the puck and put it on your wall?
Just every time I walk by it, I touch it.
So we've got that, right? Columbus, a little surprising, but most of the bottom is who we thought would be at the bottom. But what about the top of the standings? Like, so you kind of looked at who's below Detroit. If we look at that top, is the top, like the top's just as both solid and confusing as we expected. And let's take a look kind of at that top 6, because we got to start somewhere. Okay, top 6. Number 6, Tampa. We'll spend it because Washington's tied with them. Tampa, Columbus, Colorado, all tied with 66 points.
Yep.
What do you think? Were you expecting them to be in this top, tied for 5th in the league?
I expected 2 of those 3 teams to be much higher in the standings.
Really? Not even top 5? You had higher expectations?
I thought Tampa and Colorado would have been like top 3. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're a point back from top 3. So
yeah, I realize that.
So, but like, what do you think? Washington, looking back on their season, how do you feel? I mean, obviously they feel good, but what is it? Because I didn't expect them to be
overperforming a little bit. They're getting more out of their goalies. That, like, goaltending was their biggest question, right? And whether or not some of their veteran players could keep up the pace that they've played at their entire career. Right.
That's a big part for sure.
Right. Like, Ovechkin's been good this year.
I mean, Ovechkin's been, if anything, I would say like less good than he has been. He's definitely tiered down. Like, this is the first time in some time, and I didn't pull it up, but like, he's less than a point a game this year, which is not Ovechkin like.
Yeah, that's surprising to me.
But you've got guys like Anthony Mantha stepping up and scoring. What is it now? 8 goals in 8 games. Is that what he's at?
Something like that. He's looking good, eh?
He hasn't scored since we last recorded.
He hasn't, eh?
No.
So he's lost that new trade shine.
He has a little bit.
You know who has though? Side note: Jacob Vrana scored 4 goals in that game against Dallas.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wild.
Not bench for Detroit. That one.
No.
So I think a lot of what Washington has done is slightly better goaltending. Like, Braden Holtby was not it in Washington last year.
No, and it was supposed to be Henrik Lundqvist this year.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Remember that? And then he had that heart thing, and they're like, we don't know what we're going to do with our goaltending now. I guess we're just going to see if the 2 backups that we had are going to be good enough.
Yeah, this was the year that Samsonov was supposed to get a break.
Yeah.
And be the 1B.
Yeah.
Not the case.
But it's worked out for them.
I mean, I guess Samsonov still has been 1B, but Vanacek just coming out of essentially nowhere to take the job with this team.
Yeah, they've looked good.
Yeah, so they've been, and then so above them, we've got Pittsburgh, Carolina, Florida, and Vegas. There is no chance that if you would have asked me who the top 4 teams in this league would be, that I would have said one of those teams, maybe. No, I would have said Vegas probably. But those other 3?
Yeah.
Vegas would have been in there. But those other 3, I love the surprises that they've been.
I mean, definitely Pittsburgh should not be this high. That one's kind of well, they're all surprising. Florida to me is the biggest surprise, because Florida started to become that team that every year everyone was like, this is the year. They're almost like them and New York Islanders. This is their year. They're going to be good. And then they stank. The last couple of years, the Islanders started to turn that around. This year, Florida, holy, they have turned that around. I was not expecting that.
Well, I think because last year we extra bought in, right? They went out, they got Bobrovsky. Everyone bought in, and we're like, this is Florida's year. They're coming. They got Quenneville behind the bench, and they're going. And they didn't. And I feel like unanimously we were like, we're done with Florida.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, it's still not even because of Bobrovsky.
Right.
Like, he's been good this year. He's been better, but he's not the reason.
No, he's not.
Chris Drieger, he's been awesome. He's been so like, where did this guy come from?
Nowhere. I mean, but they are still. I remember we talked about this before. Just like that, they do need to find a way to get Bobrovsky in there, and they have, right? Like Drieger has kind of taken the backseat again because they realize what they need to do is get Bobrovsky going, and he's been fine. He's not been worth 10 million or whatever he's getting paid, but he's worth it. Or he's not worth it. He's been fine.
He's been giving them average goaltending this year.
Yeah.
Which, you know what, like, no, it's not what you need from Bobrovsky, but it's okay based on what we saw last year.
It's compared to what he gave them as a team, being the biggest reason they didn't make the playoffs. Now he's just not the reason that they're at the top, which is a fine problem to have.
Fine problem to have. And then, you know, their kind of expected production from Huberdeau and Barkov has been great. Carter Verhaeghe has been a bit of a surprise this year. I haven't heard this guy's name as much as I have this year.
I mean, I wouldn't even say a bit of a surprise. He is a complete out of left field.
Looked great.
I mean, Count coming in from Tampa, doing.
Is that where he came from?
Yeah. Doing essentially nothing over there, and then coming in, being great. I do not expect him to repeat this, but that might also just be like the Florida skepticism that I'm used to.
Let's see what kind of contract he's on. If he's going to get big money next year to never have to do this again.
All right. Well, while Nick looks that up,
he's not. He's being paid $1 million this year and next year.
Well, I was gonna say that while you're looking that up, we could take a break. But now that you've looked it up, let's take a break. We'll be back on the other side. We're gonna take a look at. We're gonna see what's led Pittsburgh to success. We're gonna take a look at Carolina, and then it's time for the Elimination Station. 3, 2, 1,
and we're back. Let's talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins and how good they've been. You know who's leading this team in points?
Sidney Crosby. I don't know if you saw, it was only on every news site anywhere that talks about hockey. Sidney Crosby, 16 seasons in a row with at least a point a game.
You know who the oldest player on this team is?
Sidney Crosby.
He was, but they traded for Jeff Carter, who's 36 years old. Side note, holy moly, Jeff Carter's 36 years old.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby is the second oldest player on this team. He's been in the league for 16 years now.
In all 16 years, he's had at least a point a game.
Unbelievable. That's pretty good. That's worth celebrating. He should have been the NHL's first star of the week this week.
He wasn't?
No, he wasn't.
Who was?
It was someone else who made history. Mr. Patrick Marleau.
No.
Because apparently it's more impressive to play all those games than it is to maintain a point per game pace over 16 consecutive years.
But your stars of the week shouldn't be based on longevity. Like, what did Patrick Marleau do this week?
Stayed in the news cycle. Did you see the gloves they made for him?
Yeah.
Someone did not proofread that before it went to print.
That's going to happen.
Pretty bad.
Good on them. All right. Sidney Crosby, is he the entire reason the Penguins are winning?
No, I don't think he's the entire reason, but he's definitely one of the primary ones. I mean, like, you look at this team. Look, the names, let's go down this list, okay? 1, Sidney Crosby. 2, Jake Gensel. 3, Brian Rust. 4, Chris Letang. 5, Jared McCann. 6, Evgeny Malkin. Like, I'm just going down the point production list.
Yeah.
These are all names that have been part of this team and part of the discussion when people talk about this team for I don't know, how many years now?
Yeah, forever.
6, 7, 8 years.
I'm very offended that you stopped before you got to number 9, Cody Ceci.
Who the broadcast was really talking up this week.
Right. He's ninth in points on the 4th best team in the league. How can you not? But the biggest difference, and Ottawa is well aware of this difference, is that Matt Murray's not on this team.
Yeah, and they're getting good goaltending from both of their goalies.
Yeah, Jarry and DeSmith have been great. Good.
They've been good.
Yeah, they've been quite good, and fairly consistent as well, which is a key.
Yeah, because then the players can trust that you're back there. They can trust what you're going to give them, and they can go out and play. But this team just needs they don't need like elite level goaltending. They just need this good consistency. They can play through the rest of it.
Yeah. I was watching, because Pittsburgh was our team of the week this week. And so I was watching some Pittsburgh Penguins games, lighting it up against the Devils, but also like blowing ridiculous leads against the Devils.
Was that this week?
That was last Tuesday. Up 6-0. And then the Devils scored 6 goals in the third period.
Crazy.
But in watching those games, I believe it was the Saturday game, I want to say, I really appreciated the irony in, and it's also not true at all, but the broadcast kept comparing Kasperi Kapanen to Phil Kessel.
Oh, God. I guess he was part of that Kessel trade with the Leafs, wasn't he? Yeah,
he was literally traded for Phil Kessel and then went back to Pittsburgh. So I really appreciated it.
Poor Phil. Poor Phil. He's still on the wall behind me, Carl. Don't worry. He's watching everything.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm not wrong. I am at a different angle this week because I can't see Phil, but
I guess you must have been.
I can't see this new sink that's there. There's always something new in this background you give me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to install that at some point in the bathroom down the hall there. I'm not a plumber.
No.
We'll see how it goes.
I wish you the best. I usually try to avoid those things as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't really want to bring strangers into my house right now. So
that's a very different reason. I got a hot water tank installed like last winter, and since there was a plumber coming, I was like, I wonder what else I could get this guy to do. So I just went and picked up a new faucet for the kitchen and got him to install it since he was already in the house. It cost me like $30. You absolutely,
that's not bad.
That's worth my money.
Yeah.
To not have to worry about getting water everywhere.
Yeah, that's not bad. I definitely wouldn't tackle a hot water heater by myself, but like this thing, the piping's already in place. It's just about disconnecting and reconnecting everything, assuming the parts are the same.
Yeah. I mean, that'll be fine. I've done toilets before. If I can do a toilet, you can do a sink.
Agreed. That gives me confidence. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
You're like a really good, consistent goalie.
Thank you. Am I Jarry? Am I Jarry or DeSmith? Which one?
You're Jarry for sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Carolina. Back up here.
But least surprising of the bunch.
Absolutely.
Right? Like we've all been, this team has progressed a little more every year. They've gotten better and better. They've gone deeper and deeper. They've challenged better and better teams. It's nice to see them finally at this level. They're a fun team to watch.
They are super fun to watch. And Rod Brindamore has done a really good job coaching this team. He's gotten them from do you remember back when, I'm glad I don't remember his name, the coach that was with them, but then the Flames fired.
Bill Peters.
Him.
Yeah.
Remember when he was with the team and they led the league in Corsi because all they did was take shots from the point?
Yep.
I'm glad that's not this team anymore.
No, this team is a lot more fun than that. And Rod Brindamore, due for a contract extension this year. Oh boy, that guy's going to get paid.
Yeah. Rod the Bod is going to get some.
Also, great nickname. I hope that's part of his signature when he signs the contract.
I assume he just writes the Bod. It's not even his name. It's in all caps. He actually does it in block letters. It takes him about 30 minutes to do a signature, but it's so worth it.
I love that.
All right, let's head to the elimination station here.
we got a big decision to make this week.
Again?
Well, we got to at least talk about it. I think we're on the same page.
Nashville's staying in.
Right?
Dallas is, 1 point back of them now?
Yeah. That was a big 3 wins against Detroit.
Yeah. They did well. And I mean, Nashville had an okay week. Not enough to really distance themselves. I believe they lost to Chicago in overtime. They won the other 2 against the Blackhawks. Like, they did their thing. They're currently tied against Florida. An underdog situation for them for sure. And Dallas is up on Carolina. So this literally could be, by the time most people listen to this episode, Dallas could be tied with Nashville with a game in hand. Nashville's staying.
Agreed. I'm really glad this is working out for us.
You know what? Let's not even mention it next week. Let's just, Nashville's done. We've eliminated them. We don't have to keep bringing it up.
Good. All right. Who's next?
Great question. So here's every division. We've finished off the East. The Central needs a team. The North needs, we're done the North too.
Yeah, the North is done.
So we got 1 team in the Central, 1 team in the West.
I think we should go to the Central.
I'm with you.
Chicago Blackhawks.
Chicago Blackhawks.
Excellent. Welcome to the Elimination Station, Chicago.
Definitely did better than I expected them to do this year.
Way better than we expected them to do. They turned their whole tanking, retooling situation around pretty quickly.
Especially because I didn't think that they would be good. And that was when I thought that Jonathan Toews would be able to play this year.
Yeah.
And not a thing. Who knows, like at this point in time, who knows if he'll ever be able to play again?
I've still heard nothing about him at all.
Which I think is probably for the best. It's give him some time to deal with what he's dealing with, right?
Yeah, still just a freaky situation.
Absolutely. But Dallas or Chicago has that. Andrew Shaw also retired today.
I saw that.
Surprisingly.
Was he with the Blackhawks or was he with the Habs?
He is currently a Chicago Blackhawk.
He is, okay. Yeah. Because they started bringing a bunch of those guys back.
Yes, that is the Chicago Blackhawk model. To just return everyone. But like, I mean, you have Kirby Dach.
Yeah.
Gone. Jonathan Toews gone. And you're going to tell me that we waited until April 26th to eliminate this team from the playoffs? That's pretty good.
They started off in not a great position. And here we are. They held their own. They had a really good start to the season.
Very good.
Like yes. They started off really, really strong. And it kind of allowed them to coast through the middle/end of the season a little bit. I found them to be a little more mediocre as the season has gone on. More in line with where I thought they'd be, probably still better than what I thought they would be. But the strong start to the season definitely kept them in the conversation longer.
Yes. Yeah. And like you said, they did fall off, right? Losing 2 out of 3 against Nashville is an example of that this past week. But did you lose me?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'll just restart that thought. When did you lose? What was the last thing I said?
They did start off.
Okay. They did start off well, but we saw, right? Losing 2 out of 3 against Nashville this week is a great example of that, right? Nashville got 5 out of 6 points against Chicago, and we expected them. I'm sure if we went back and listened, we had them fighting the Red Wings for last in this division.
Yeah.
And now they're firmly in 6th, which
isn't
anything to brag about, but definitely better. What do you think though? Like, so when we're looking into the future and we're trying to figure out what could fix this team or what could get them back to the playoffs, is Kevin Lankinen the guy for them? Or do you think that did they find something magical or not?
I don't think they found the kind of magic that's needed. I think he's been a bit of a nice surprise to keep them in it. but I think they're going to need better than that.
Yeah.
Right? If they're going to do it, if they're going to turn it around fast, because a lot of their new core, their key players are going to need a few years still. So before they hit their prime.
So that core that you're looking at, like who are you considering those people that you need a couple more years for?
I'm looking at like Adam Boqvist. I'm looking at Kirby Dach, of course. There's two right there. I'm looking at some of these other ages and I'm like, man, I'm pretty sure 23 is like prime for NHL players now.
I was going to say, like,
it's pretty young.
Like, you're looking at DeBrincat, right? Like
DeBrincat. Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure that he can get much better than where he's at right now.
Yeah. It's funny that I'm surprised some of these guys, him and Dylan Strome, are so young because I feel like they've been in the league for so long.
Strome is one. DeBrincat's, I still think is young. Seeing him and Strome being the same age surprises me because I assume that Dylan Strome is like 26, 27 by now.
Yeah. That might be one of the other Stromes.
Well, and I think at this point, like, there was some hope last year that Dylan Strome maybe could turn it around. This is who he is at this point.
I think so. So I think they're going to need better goaltending.
So goaltending, they do have, I mean, they don't have a ton of flexibility signing wise. They are hopefully going to get some more space, right? We've got Brent Seabrook retired this year.
Yep.
Not sure what's going to happen with that situation because they still owe him for 3 more years. Is he like retired, which just means he's going to sit on long-term IR all year? Jonathan Taves got 2 more years with him at 10.5. Is he going to be back? Are they going to have his 10.5 on there? Andrew Shaw also retired today, right? They owe him 3.9 for next year. That's $20 million in cap space in players that are possibly, for sure, not and likely not returning next year.
Makes you wonder, Carl, with the expansion draft coming up. Really makes you wonder.
What does it make you wonder?
I don't know. Are they going to strike a deal with Seattle to take one of these contracts? I doubt it, but could Duncan Keith be Seattle's Marc-Andre Fleury?
That's interesting. I could get on board with that in a hurry.
It'd be a good move for Chicago.
Love me some Duncan Keith.
It'd be a good move for Seattle. Bring him over, make him your captain.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know if it'd be a good move for Seattle, but
I'm not sure that's
name recognition.
I'm not sure Chicago would be super into it. It really depends on what they get, right? Like, what kind of thing would you get back? You also need Duncan Keith to sign on for it because he is got the no movement, but he is from BC, so maybe moving a little further out there. I know he spends his summers out in the valley there, so
just seems like one of those players though that Chicago's gonna want to keep around.
Yeah,
that the loyalty thing.
I do know the loyalty thing. Well, there you go. So, what kind of time frame do you think for Chicago to be back as a playoff contender in this division?
After this year, I think it's much less than I initially thought. Couple years, if they can keep playing like this, and then you got Dach growing into his own and Boqvist growing into his own, they could be a good team.
To say Kirby Dach was very good.
Yeah.
And him not being available on this team hurts big time this year. So, you get Dach in there, you get him playing with Kane, DeBrincat, Kubalik, another great piece for this team, right? Like, there's a lot of players that are going to be good, continue to be good. And I'm excited to see what they could do. I would say for me, I'm looking 2 years. They could be back.
They lucked out on DeBrincat too. Like, he was a late 2nd round pick, I think.
I'd say mid. Yeah. He never should have dropped that long.
No, but there's not that many 2nd round picks that end up being this kind of producer.
this early that well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big flub on everyone who passed on him in that area. So
yeah, for sure.
There we go, Nick. We have fixed what ails the Chicago Blackhawks. So you're welcome.
You're welcome, Chicago.
All right. Which brings us then to our Nick's Lidstrom, where you pick who you want us to follow this week. Do you have a list of teams that we've put in the Lidstrom?
No, you have the list.
Okay. Do you want?
I keep the Elimination Station. You keep both.
I keep both. Well, I'll quickly just run through the teams that have been featured. You tell me one that's missing that you want to do this week.
I feel like Dallas was really early.
Dallas was literally the very first team we did.
Oh,
why do we do that? You tell me some teams you would like to do. I'll tell you if they've been in it.
Okay, some teams that I would like to do. Have we done? We've done the Islanders. I'm sure of that.
Yep.
Have we done? We did Washington a couple weeks ago. Did Pittsburgh. We definitely did Tampa. We did Florida. We did Dallas. We did Carolina. Oh man, Minnesota. I don't think we've done.
We have not done Minnesota.
We've done Colorado, right?
Yep.
We've done all the North teams, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not Montreal.
We did Toronto, Winnipeg, and Edmonton in the North.
Okay, so we got to do Montreal still, too.
I mean, we only have like 2 weeks left, so...
So it's either Montreal or Minnesota?
I guess so. I mean, we also have like... There's an East Division team that's going to be in the playoffs that we haven't done that team that shall not be named.
Yeah, I'm pushing that off as long as possible. We had to watch them in other series, so
sure we had to watch them play Sunday in a 1-0 game against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and we had to watch them last week against Washington. Well, I mean, Montreal has a diverse schedule this week. They play Toronto, Winnipeg, and Ottawa, and Minnesota doesn't. They play St. Louis.
They play St. Louis 3 times this week.
St. Louis. So would you rather watch the St. Louis Blues 3 times, or would you watch a medley of Canadian teams?
I would. I mean, the St. Louis Blues are currently beating my Avalanche 4-1, so they can take a hike. I don't want to see them on my TV this week. Good. Go Montreal.
So let's watch Montreal.
All right, there we go. So tune in this week. We're going to put, we need to do a thing here too.
We're going to hand out a prize?
We're going to hand out a prize.
Yes.
All right. So we're excited because we know the kinds of prizes that we're handing out. We are going to, when you play this game, so you head on over to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast, and you can be the winner of some great stuff from the store next door, where they take broken, unused hockey sticks and work with the community and build these amazing hockey products. Head to the store next door. You can see their story. If you missed them on the show a few weeks ago when they described to us and we handed out the first winner, you can head back there and check it out. But we are going to hand out a prize right now. Let me just, I've messed it up. So I just need to, I'll just fix it that way. Is that what I want to do? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to quickly.
That was fun.
Was that a ride? That's what happens when I think out loud. Was that a thing?
You had to think out loud because you knew if you went quiet, I wasn't saving you from this.
It's true. All right. So we're going to hand out a prize right now to one of the people who've gotten it. So you pick the over-under in every Montreal game this week. And this could be you next week that we're handing out a prize for. And then I'll message you on Twitter. We're going to find out a way. Every correct guess gets your name in the draw for something. And we've only got 2 more weeks. I guess we'll probably crown another one right at the end of the season.
Yeah, we should.
So we're going to wrap this up. But can I get a drum roll?
Can you hear that?
We can hear it. Congratulations, Ziv Agazi. I know I'm fairly certain he's a big Carolina Hurricanes fan. So our love for the Hurricanes this week, as well as him getting a win. Congratulations, Ziv. If you don't reach out to us first, we'll reach out to you and get something headed off your way. Well done. Congratulations. And play again this week, where with every Montreal Canadiens game, pick the over under for those games, and you too could be the winner. Excited to get that sent off.
Yes, they're so cool.
It's looking good. All right. Head to thefourthlinepodcast.com for more information about us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the Full Press Radio app, and the Full Press Radio website. Head on over there if you want some more great hockey content. But until next week.
Time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. Jamie Benn will never score enough goals to catch us, but I don't care because he's a